SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Let us start this lecture, a thought process from Chandogya Upanishad. It is the water which pervades everything, big or small, the earth, the atmosphere, the heaven, the mountains, gods, men, animals, birds, grass, plants, dogs, worms, insects, ants. All these are water indeed. Today we will be basically discussing about the water and how to harvest it, also the irrigation system. Few lectures I will be devoting on that, which were being practiced in ancient time. If you look at, this is a beautiful planet, it is, you can consider to be a blue planet, and that is our mother earth. Why it looks so beautiful? Because water is there. And let us look at that as per the Chandogya Upanishad, the water is everything. So also even our body contains 70% of the water. The whole earth contains 70% of water. But if you look at what is the amount of water or the fresh water that we can use. If you look at total global water here, the ocean contains 96.5, which are saline in nature, we cannot use it, and another 1% of water, total water will be saline. That means the total water which is fresh and which is considered to be fresh water is around 2.5%. Out of this 2.5%, the 68.6% one cannot use because the glacier and ice caps, and there will be also groundwater 30.1 percentage groundwater. That means you will have to take it out from the ground, use it using some energy, or we are using nowadays pump and also motor to extract the water from the ground, and surface water is something 1.3 percentage. Out of that 1.3%, the 73.1% is basically ice and snow, and another 20.1 percentage are in the lakes. It is very difficult to use that even. Then you will be having soil moistures, because soil also contains certain amount of moisture, 3.5%. And when we discuss about the agriculture, we are concerned about how to retain the moisture in the soil. That was a great challenge for the agriculturist, and today it is difficult to have because of global warming, because of wrong practices of the agriculture or the farming, and also the greenery coverage. Those are receding or reducing the soil moisture content. And then the swamps at the marshes is something 2.5%, rivers at 0.46%, right, if total water whatever it contains. And then of course atmosphere will be 0.22%, atmosphere also contains some water, and living things like 0.22%. If you look at the amount of water which are available to us for our uses are quite less. And then what we are doing? We are misusing it, abusing it, right, and then spoiling it also, so far quality is concerned. If you look at average daily water usage per person, is graph being plotted here. These are the, on this side, these are liters per person per what, this on the left hand side the average daily usage of water per person is being shown here. Right. In this, these are the countries like USA, Australia, all those countries are there. You can observe that it is this water usage is decreasing with the countries, and these countries are basically undeveloped countries. Okay. And USA, Australia, Italy, Japan, Mexico, all those are developed countries. In developed countries, per person usage water is higher, and India is in between, which is around something 130 liters per person. Are you getting? That means if you will be more developed, you will be using more amount of water. That is the one yardstick, like the way we also judge whether you are developed or not developed, energy consumption per person or per capita energy consumption. And as we will be developing in the so called development, what we are seeing, that means we will be using more amount of water. Where water will come? And also we will be contaminating the water. But if you look at our ancient way of looking at, use less. In modern days, in consumeristic society, it is the consume more. That means we need to follow that, consume less amount of water for your survival, for your life. And that should be the thing we should learn, and fortunately we are having very less amount of water usage per person as compared to the developed countries, and we should keep it. But unfortunately, due to this industrialization, urbanization and other things, our consumption for person water is increasing at an alarming rate, and there will be a problem. Okay. So, let us look at the UN report, like Water for Life, a report has come up. Around 700 million people in 43 countries suffer today from water scarcity, and that is UN report data. And by 2025, if you look at after 8 years, today is 2017, 1.8 billion people will be living in countries or regions with absolute water scarcity, and 2/3 of the world's population could be living under water stress conditions by 2025. And if you look at by 2030, what will happen? With the existing climate change scenario, because the climate has been changed, is global warming, temperature has gone up, almost half of the world population will be living in areas of high water stress by 2030. These are of course prediction, but still there will be something will be there, it not that it will be go lopsided. Including 75 million people and 250 million people in Africa, these will be affected by the water. In addition, water scarcity in some arid or semi-arid places will displace between 24 million to 700 million people, they are predicting. Because water will not be there, they will have to shift, they will have to go move to some other place where water will be there, otherwise you cannot survive. And sub-Saharan African has the largest number of water stressed countries of any region. Of course, Asia is also next, after Africa, Asia is the next, because it is a populous place, and we need to face the problem for water. And we are also spoiling the water quality by drainage system, putting the sways into our rivers. Most of Indian rivers are polluted, not only the Ganga, but any other river you can think of, right. And also we are not taking care of what you call preserving it, and even water. And underground water is also contaminated to some extent, rather particularly in urban areas water is contaminated, underground water. Now, where will go? Because water is the elixir of life. Without water, can you think of any life? Forget about any development maybe, right. And that is about global scenario I gave. Let us look at water crisis in India. I will be giving you a very brief view of the thing. The states which are hit by the water scarcity is Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, of course the Gujarat, Maharashtra, and very few states who are not affected by water scarcity. And if you look at, this is a picture what I have shown here. This is New Delhi Municipality Corporation, New Delhi capital, where people are on this tank sitting around and they want water. And similarly here in Rajasthan, the women folk, they are walking maybe 2-3 kilometers to get water. And this is of course in Natwargarh in Gujarat, there is a what you call large well, and people are swarming around that well to get some water. These are real pictures, like situation is quite alarming. So now if you look at water supply duration in 20 major cities, and this is of course Rajkot, which is having a very less number of hours, maybe half an hour per day. And of course the Chandigarh, if you look at, is having 12 hours per day on an average. The rest of the things, Mumbai, Jabalpur, Bangalore are having all these things. These are the 20 cities where people are not getting 24-hour water supply. Of course in IIT Kanpur we get, it is a luxury for us, right. So the problem is quite grim, is quite alarming. And we are having 130 crore people, and maybe it will be after few years it will be 135 or 40, after 10 years, 20 years, like that. So let us look at what are the main causes of present water crisis in India. And of course there is a rising population, therefore demand for water is increasing. Over extraction of easily available surface water and groundwater resources, because we are having now electricity, and then we are having also the what you call diesel set, generator set, where you can use that power to extract water from this thing, and we also misuse the water for agriculture, because nowadays water is free for farmer, like then it will be all they will be misusing. And beside this, whatever water is there, also we what you call not use properly, and also that is contaminated, that is the one problem. So increasing human impact on the environment and contamination of available water sources, because as I told earlier that our sway system we are putting into the rivers, and so industrial hubs or industries, they are also putting their garbage into the river, because that is a poor fellow, like there is nobody to take care of river. And so there is a thing. Beside this, there is a climate change, of course global warming, the evaporation rate is increasing, and then also water is scanty in the sense some places of course too much of water is coming, and then some other places there is a problem, and excessive environmental degradation in catchment area. If you look at catchment area, means mountains and other hills and other places, if you look at, those are flooded with what? With lot of garbages. People are going for tourist, right, and then they are putting a lot of materials, leaving as it is and coming back. Those are contaminated, right, because of this tourism is become a business. So therefore that is creating a lot of problems in the pollution in the catchment area, and catchment area is encroached by the people also. Earlier days people do not want to, and then mountains they are disseminating, like from there it will come, and then pollution of river water, groundwater, I have already talked about it, and gross mismanagement of the land and water resources, because in, as I told, in agriculture we are using lot of chemicals today, and those are like percolated. When water comes, you are using irrigation, that also coming to the soil, and then other things it is affecting. And like of course there is a problems, as a result there will be droughts, floods and landslides. You might be aware that Himalayan region is now more prone to landslide, because people are blasted it for making houses. Those are rocks are being together there, anytime it can crumble, because a lot of blastings are going on to make home or to quarries, and then like take out. See, these are the things we should not spoil. And some of the floods, of course, people have put a lot of dams in the rivers. As a result, they are not having good management, and they whenever they will get pressure from the water due to water load or due to mismanagement, they will release the water. So, there is also floods comes man made. Nowadays some floods, at least not all, but some of them are man made, as being told to me. And why it is so? Because we are following unsustainable materialistic western way of life in the name of development or the modernity, without really thinking that look, those things cannot work for here because India is a populous country. We cannot have like a system where people will just misuse it and give them freely, no. So, then we need to look at like what you call our ancient Indian wisdom and see how they were managing the water at that time, and how we can have sustainable water harvesting system, right, that we can learn from them and relook at it, and that is the objective of basically this course, to relook at them how they were managing properly. So, if you look at you go to the Samveda, like according to that, one type of water goes up, right, another type of water comes down, rain water flows into river, right, because that is a one process. If you look at it, is basically a hydrological cycle what is talking about in their own language. Process of, according to Yajurveda, water basically moves from clouds to the earth, right, because from the sea it will be evaporated and then it will go, and then wherever mountain and other places greenery will be there, it will condense and then rain will be forming and flow through channels, and again it will go and store in the ocean, right. So, this is the cycle, and of course, there will be evaporation, there will be infiltration kind of thing in the soil. So, this is a beautiful cycle, right, what nature is doing for us. Now, if you imagine that we want to use the sea water which is saline and evaporate it, condense it and use it, right, will it not be very costly? It will be extremely costly, but nature is doing for us what we need to do, and nature also has created how to collect wherever the people will be there. That is why all components of the nature like mountains, jungles, all other things, rivers are already designed by the nature. We need to protect it, that is all, and then use it, right. That is the thing what is being basically we can learn from these things. And if you look at this is the we already know, that is basically if you look at there is a sea here, and you might be aware that sea marine life is very important, but we are already spoiling the marine life, particularly the coastal nearby area, even in the deep sea also being spoiled by us because of exploration, because other thing. And this evaporation will be cloud, and then again cloud will move toward that, there will be mountains, and then and also greeneries, that will be precipitation, condensation, precipitation, then water will be coming through all these land areas, there might be runoffs, right, and even some it will be inflated, it will go and as a groundwater. If you look at these are the groundwater, right, it will be stored, and then you can use, right, that water also. So, this a beautiful system is there in place by the nature, but we have spoiled it in the name of what? Development, in the name of what you call modernity. So, that we need to look at, that nature is divine as being talked in our scriptures, and we are a part of it. It is not the human being alone will be enjoying the fruits of the nature or the resources of the nature, others also should have, but they will not do any damage. Can an animal will do damage to the nature? No, no, it is a human being who will can spoil it. So, that is a thing we can learn from what you call ancient way of looking at this hydrological cycle, which was mentioned in the Veda in a little different way. And let us look at bird's eye view of water harvesting system in our country. And what I am showing here is a very brief things, right. It is a very vast, so I cannot really talk about it. But however, I will say that 3000 BC or even more before that, we have seen in Indus Valley civilization, like people found dams being built of stone rubbles in Baluchistan and Kutch region of Gujarat. And of course, during Indus Valley civilization, what we are calling it now Saraswati civilization, had several reservoirs to collect rainwater runoff. Each house had an individual well, and so also public well they were having. And 321 to 291 BC, if you look at archaeological evidence for dams, lakes, irrigation system during the time of Chandragupta Maurya rules, people have found out. And even if you look at during that time, Kautilya's Arthashastra, which we had talked several times, it has mentioned the irrigation using water harvesting systems. And even at that time, there was a provision for taxing the farmer whoever uses water from the irrigation system. Existing irrigation is not free. Okay. Like today, we are giving free to the people. If you freely give to the people, then they will misuse it. And the 1st century BC, if you look at Srirangapetapura near Allahabad, had a sophisticated water harvesting system, which I will be discussing, and also controlling the flood waters of Ganges. That means, you will have to, there is a flood, whenever there is a river, there will be flood. But that also you can use it for your advantages and manage your water need. And 2nd century AD is a grand anicut, or which is also known as Kalanai anicut, like built by Karikala Chola king, right, across the river Kaveri to divert water for irrigation, which is still functional today, even today, right, and is a very old. Then of course, there is several other things, but I am coming to 11th century AD. King Bhoja Bhopal built large artificial lakes around 65,000 acres in India, fed by streams and springs of that area, right. They have joined all together, like today people are talking about joining rivers, they had joined also springs, but they were having certain understanding, right. And 12th century Rajatarangiri by Khalana described a well maintained irrigation system in Kashmir, which I will be discussing, because those things were managed by the people at that time, not the king who was supposed to manage. Today government is trying to manage everything, but at that time people were managing their own resources, right. There is a difference of governance. So, let us look at historical perspective of well and water bodies, like what are the things. So, if you look at the large number of wells within the housing complexes at Mohenjo-daro and Harappan clearly indicate the importance of water for domestic purposes and ritualistic purpose. And the occurrence of word avata, which is basically well, repeatedly used in Rig Veda, which indicates that Vedic people were knowing how to dig a well and use it, right. Of course, during Mauryan rule, as I told earlier, farmers used to pay taxes for using well and also the other irrigation system fitted with the machine. Of course, there is nothing much about those machines which are being used. I presume there might be some water wheels or something to take out the water kind of things. And Kautilya's Arthashastra has mentioned about that. And beside this, Panini's Ashtadhyayi has already talked about 2 words. Of course, there might be more words also, but what I am mentioning here, Karakandu and Sakandu. One is permanent well dug on the right side of the river. I do not know really why right side, that is one question was coming to my mind. And another in temporary on the left side of river that is subjected to annual inundation. There will be annual inundation, and inundation means flood will be coming, and it may happen that flood is moving towards the what to call right side, that is why that well might be temporary, whereas the left side might be stable one, or maybe having embankment which is flood will not go. People I have also while studying this I learned that people are having embankment on the river one side, they allow one river water to flood in other side, that means they were having certain control over the river's movement, right. If you are having good embankment on one side and other you allow, then anywhere river what will come, that will be that will be going. So, that is the one reason what came to my mind. Of course, in early Tamil anthologies, there are several collection of poems like Mani Mekali and Tirukural and Purana Nuru and Patina Palai extra. Of course, I am sorry, I am not pronouncing this Tamil word properly. I think my Tamil friends will tolerate me. And terms related to water well, namely Kuval, Kulam and Kinaru, Vani, Keni, there are several words are there which are used profusely in these literatures of Tamil Nadu. That means they were concerned about well, right, and how to make another thing. Besides the Dharma Shastras mention 4 types of man made water receivers, like that means if you are having if you could dig well, let us say, you will get some punyas, right. And like Kupa, Bhapi and Puskarini and Tadaga, like earlier days there was a belief system among the people, if you give your resources or donate your resources for having a Kupa, that means you will do a lot of what you call punya. Punya means what it will be, like good deeds, right, this is considered as a good deeds. Similarly, that is why that belief system was working, people were coming forward to give their resources, money and even their own manpowers to use that, so that public will use it, that was the feeling people were having. And with this I will stop over here, and we will be also discussing about the other aspects of well and water bodies and also other things, how they were doing and how the society was doing, not the government was doing, that is there is a difference. Today government is trying to do, but earlier days the public things means public will take care of themselves in a group manner, not in individual manner. So, therefore, society was alive at that time, but today society is almost with a begging bowl to the government, right. It is society should be do their own work of doing the things, right. So, with this I will stop over, we will see in the next lecture. Thank you very much.